Hey everyone, it's Brano, and I love the idea of game jams, but I don't necessarily love doing them. I typically do one a year. So the reason I love them, or at least the idea of them, is that it kind of just forces you to come up with an idea quickly and execute on it. So you're kind of just forced to make a game in a very tight deadline, and you're given a community to playtest the game and tell you if they like it, if they got stuck, if they're bugs, and you get a rating at the end. So you get to make a game, you get a community that gives you feedback, and then you've got an excuse if the game isn't any good, because either you are rushed to come up with an idea because the deadline's so tight, or you weren't able to execute on the idea because the deadline is so tight. And I've been struggling to come up with ideas for my next game. So a game jam was a really good way to just make something. And that can sort of like reset where I want to go as a game developer in the future. Now, in this game jam, I participated in GMTK 2025, and I worked with an artist and a friend that does music. So the first time ever really doing a video game as like a shared team rather than a sort of solo thing where I am making the majority of the game, but I also have an artist and a couple volunteers doing, like, helping out with some of the art assets. No, this is the first game where I truly did feel like it was a team effort. And I really enjoyed working with that team. And so I was happy with basically the process of doing it. And I think that the game went pretty well. I'll talk about it after the jam is over. But yeah, basically the workload is absolutely insane given what is required to make a game in 4 days. This is so much more generous than some of the previous jams he's done, which is like 48 hours. This one was a lot easier in comparison, but still the workload was crazy. And I do need a break. So there's a reason I only do one game jam a year, and it is because despite like how low stakes game jams actually are, it is very stressful. And I am, though, always satisfied when I do complete it, but it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that for a while. So one of the things as well that I really like is that it's a good way to potentially test ideas or build ideas that you have. So you may have like 10 ideas, and then one of those ideas actually kind of fits a jam, so you just pursue it. That could be a cool way of doing a jam. So I've recently been playing Dome Keeper. Like, I completed all the guild challenges and stuff. Great game. And I decided to check out the game jam version of Dome Keeper, which is Dome Romantique. And it is actually pretty cool just seeing what all the fundamental building blocks of Dome Keeper were before they actually began to turn it into a real game. And you get to see sort of like, basically, what did they need to get in place to even have a game? And then what did they need to add to make the game fun? Because Dome Romantique is not a particularly amazing game because it's made in 2 days, where Dome Keeper is like the best version of that you could possibly ask for. They did such a good job with it. And I do think that if you find a game that you really like and you find out that there is a game jam version of it, you should 100% play the game jam version just to see basically how they built it. Like, what was their first iteration of the game, and then how did that change over time? So you can even see this with my game, Heal to Death, with its predecessor game jam, well, its game jam predecessor, Healer Quest, which was the GMTK 2023 game jam, where it was 48 hours. I can't believe I made that in 48 hours, but you can sort of see what mechanics stuck and what mechanics I left behind or enhanced and all that, so it's interesting. I think if there is a conclusion to this video, is that I think there are a lot of benefits for participating in game jams. But they're also a really, really good way to burn out on the hobby. And if you don't have fun making games, you genuinely should not be making games, because it's like the effort to reward ratio is pretty terrible. But anyway, that is my opinions on game jams. I'm only going to do one a year because they just take too much, but I always really appreciate it when I do it. So that's it for me. Bye.